terrible. It's a regular TV with the package for $40 if you have regular stations. It's like, okay.
Are we set to go, or are we waiting for Aaron?
Nope, it's going, it's live.
Okay, live. This meeting will come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll.
Veronic. Here. Baylor. Here. Castor.
Here.
Coldman.
Here.
Sardina.
Here.
Tarks.
Here.
Benjamin.
Is there anyone desiring to be heard? None. Consent agenda.
I accidentally have the old minutes on there, so there should be no consent agenda.
No consent agenda. Communications. The only thing I have is I was informed that Rick Ensign passed away. He was a longtime Butler resident and was a village trustee and village president. He was active within the village, the Clark House, and the library, and supported the community. His dedication to the village will be missed. Are there any other communications?
No.
No committee reports. Anything on the report of the administrator?
No, sir.
Unfinished business. Item A, discussion and possible action on revisions to the termination agreement by and between the Village of Butler and the Butler Volunteer Fire Department, Inc. At this time, I'll turn it over to the village attorney, Paul Lexi.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. Also present this evening is Attorney Bono on behalf of the Butler Volunteer Fire Department. We have taken the charge of the village board at its last meeting to heart and have come up with a revised termination agreement between the Village of Butler and the Butler Volunteer Fire Department, Inc. For your consideration this evening. You received a draft last evening, which was at that point the latest and greatest iteration of that. Since that time, there have just been a few changes to the agreement that I'd like to highlight for you at the outset. Schedule B has been appended to provide that with respect to turnout gear. It refers to now 10 sets of turnout gear, one for each currently responding department member, each set consisting of pants, coat, helmet, boots, and gloves. The references in sections 5 and 6 have been revised to refer to the model number of the 2020 HP department server that houses items 2 through 4 of Schedule B, that being the corporate records, department financial records, and department personnel records. And then item number 6 has been appended to refer to more clearly specify 2 2020 IdeaPad 317 ADA05 laptop computers used by the department treasurer and secretary. In addition to those changes, Schedule A has had 3 footnotes, which are identical, added with respect to the 2 ambulances and the fire station. Each of the footnotes for those 3 indicates all medications that are unused as of the effective time will be removed by the department and delivered to the medical director for proper disposition. Finally, you have before you this evening, I believe, a revised version of Schedule C. That is the items with respect to the equipment and vehicles that are subject to state and federal grants. We've received late this afternoon the state information, and that is now listed on the document that you have in front of you. My understanding is that the agreement as presented has been reviewed by not only Attorney Bono, but also the chief and his officers, and I believe is ready to be executed. Is that correct, Chief? Council or? Yes.
So the only thing we're missing is FEMA's input.
Right, well, yes, so, so the items with respect to as indicated in the agreement, the items listed on Schedule C will be held in trust by the village and not transferred until we get finalization. And it's indicated in the agreement. We believe that's in both parties' interest to get that finalization before we act further, so that we don't put anyone in the crosshairs of the federal or state government. So again, Attorney Bono is here, and also we've been working on an almost daily basis, if not multiple times a day, to try to get this to you this evening. I'm happy, as I'm sure Attorney Bono will as well, to answer any questions. I will note that Attorney Bono has indicated she's come down with laryngitis, and so we'll try to work around that.
Quick question on the items listed for the FEMA grants. It's pretty non-specific as far as radios, how many radios. I'm assuming that there's a list of that you have. Otherwise, it's pretty vague. I mean, pagers, how many pagers, which pagers, all the pagers, some of the pagers, just so we are all on the same page as that. There's several listings of just radios and that type of stuff. Because if we have to clear it through the federal government, we're gonna need to know which ones are which.
This is Kathy Bono. Yes, my understanding is that that level of detail is available to the department through the FEMA website. Now, I have not personally been on the FEMA website. I'm basing that on conversations that I had with Jeff Loffenbeck. So we will endeavor to obviously isolate those details as soon as we can, and we work through this process with FEMA. Of course, we need to provide them with specific information.
So the department doesn't have what they bought with FEMA money listed exactly? Is that my understanding?
Conceptually, yes. These are the items, but not obviously serial numbers and things like that.
Well, we would have to figure that out. I mean, that doesn't, the FEMA filing does not affect this termination agreement. What it's saying is,
It does not affect the termination of the services by the department to the village. What it affects is the village's ability to take title and then subsequently do something with that equipment until we have sorted out both the department's obligations to FEMA, and I imagine you will want to sort out your obligations to FEMA.
correct.
That's correct. And the fire department and the village are working in tandem to nail down the FEMA reporting requirements, and so that we can get this done as soon as possible.
And I will just make a note that I did speak with Representative Fitzgerald's office, and they said that because we've also contacted FEMA just to make sure that we're working on this, and we contacted the representative's office, and they have a very good relationship with the Representative Fitzgerald's office, and they said that we can use their congressional liaison if FEMA does not comply with what we're asking within the next week or so, just because it's the holiday time. But if we're still waiting in another week, we can go through the representative's office through their congressional liaison and get this fast tracked.
I had a question on item, it's in number 2, item C in there about the 2 laptop computers that the department's going to retain. It doesn't have any kind of a time frame on that. So does there need to be a time frame? I guess would be my question. So they get to keep it as part of the wrap up to the affairs and so on. Would it be wise to have a time frame on that?
So with respect to those computers that will be retained by the department and returned, there is a time frame in the agreement, and that would be within 60 days after the termination of the services. With respect to the items listed on Schedule B, those three specific computers, the 2 laptops and the server, those are listed as being retained indefinitely by the department for its use. And that is in consideration of the department's agreement that it will complete required year-end reporting so that the village doesn't lose track of any state refunds for next year.
Thank you.
I had a question.
Go ahead.
On this FEMA grants, are we, the village of Butler, going to be held liable 100% for the amount of money that FEMA has given the fire department in its entirety from like 2003 to 2023? Are we going to be held liable for that amount of money through FEMA? Because FEMA gave them the money.
So
Now it's turning out that we, the village, are taking over.
my understanding is that the answer to that is no, we're not entirely responsible. My understanding that there is that they have essentially a 10-year look back for the most part, that anything under $10,000 that their program would not require return. There are obviously some grants that are less than 10 years old out there. As far as what the implications of those are, that is quite frankly a work in progress, and that's part of the scrambling that we're trying to do with FEMA to sort that out as far as exactly what are everyone's responsibilities in that respect. There is a potential
So from that standpoint, here I'm looking at what is it, $381,000 for the 2012 fire engine. That's the one we're trying to sell. And that means who owns the property on that? If FEMA says we don't own it, or we do own it, or where does the money go once the thing is sold? Is it just gone from the village?
Again, that is something that we are specifically working to nail down. My understanding is that there is a potential recapture option or window, if you will, for large ticket items by FEMA. I've also been told by at least one fire chief for a different department that in his experience, FEMA doesn't typically want to get title to equipment or apparatus back because it's not what they're in the business of doing. And so they tend to be more along the lines of reporting than clawing back. However, again, that's something that we do need to nail down. I've discussed it with the administrator as far as the need to nail that down before any transfer is signed for that for any of the engines.
Well, still looking at the amount of monies between let's say in the last 5 years, we're still looking at a large amount of money. Probably $78,000, $100,000. And I'm just looking at the numbers here, and it's like, holy cow. If the village is on the hook for that, I don't know where we would come up with that money.
Well, that's what we gotta figure out. I mean, we'll figure that out in time. We wouldn't have
All
to
right.
pay FEMA. Well, if we,
Well,
I mean, we don't
you never
know.
know what the government's gonna do.
Sure. Do we know if the Wisconsin Department of Health Services grants are also recaptured? Or do they just, do they act as the same as FEMA, or we don't know?
I just got that this afternoon. We
I
haven't
see.
had a chance to look into that.
Okay. Okay, but again, it doesn't affect what FEMA and the grant money, it does not affect the termination agreement.
Correct. It affects the transference of title and the disposition after, once, as far as the Schedule C items, it affects when the village essentially has the ability to exercise dominion over the property and when and how we can sell it and the consequences of that. So again, those are still being worked out. As I say, for my understanding is that items that are under $10,000 that typically it is reporting, type of responsibility. But again, I think Aaron's been in specific contact, and then obviously Ben's been involved as well.
So with that being said, with us not being able to take title of those apparatuses, where does that now fall with insurance? Because how can we insure something that's not ours?
Well, we will take possession of it as of the 31st. So we do have an insurable interest, and we do hold title to the property. But again, we will have possession of the title. It won't be transferred to our name, so it will be in our possession. I think there is an insurable interest, something that we do have to nail down. The alternative, however, as discussed at the last board meeting, is that the fire department will not be re-upping its insurance at the end of the year. So that would leave it, if we don't take possession of it, that would leave it in an uninsured status at an unknown location. So I think it's in the village's best interests to as indicated in the agreement, we would take possession of the equipment as of the 31st and hold it in trust.
Well, and Ben spoke to that Tuesday, didn't you, or Aaron, that we would insure them on a short-term basis as needed.
But we didn't have the FEMA aspect of it at that
Sure.
point. So that's why I'm asking it
Okay.
again.
Okay.
Because now we have this FEMA glitch that we don't know or who can do what. I just want to make sure that it just gets insured.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yep.
And if we can insure it, great, but I don't want to get caught like we think it's insured, but it's not, and then we all lose out on it.
And I think Attorney Alexa, just to go back to Trustee Benjamin's question, the amounts that we saw on the schedule, those were the grant award amounts. The value of a lot of those pieces of equipment has depreciated since the award, because that's not like the current value. That's what was awarded to them.
Right.
And again, that's all now depreciated down to, whatever level. So we wouldn't necessarily, again, I don't know, I don't want to speak out of turn, but we wouldn't necessarily be on the hook for $380,000 for the engine, because that's again what they gave us in 2012, 2013.
That's what we'll find out.
Correct. And there's a process where we have to submit to FEMA, then they have a certain amount of time that they can turn around and give us instructions on how to do it. And again, there could be some different language with regards to disposal versus transfer and sale. Because obviously those are, individual happenings. Disposal is not the same as transfer, because obviously disposal means that you're permanently putting it out of commission.
And then I was thinking that I would, as village president, I will work directly with the fire chief to collect keys and key fobs or whatever we have to do. I can work with him directly on that.
On the 31st.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Does any of the board have any questions or comments from or any questions for the fire department attorney or our attorney? Bill, are you good with your questions?
I've got questions, but I'm trying to figure out how to phrase them so I don't upset anybody. Yeah, I'll move on. Yes, for right now, we'll just move on.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from anybody?
You feel that the village's interests are protected?
Yes, as to the best that we can at this point in time. Again, there's some more legwork at this point as far as sorting out the FEMA and as
Yeah,
of this afternoon, the state grants. But beyond that, I think this does, this gets us to a termination with respect to the services and accounting for, accountability for the items, and it provides a path for us for the next 7-10 days to get us to the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do we have a dollar amount for number 7
Number 7
on Schedule B?
Which item is that?
Schedule B, number 7.
I don't have Schedule B.
Yeah,
What
so
is it? What is the item?
Cash and cash equivalents of the department that we are.
I do not.
Does anybody, you have that, chief? You don't know how much money you have?
And I don't know if it would matter because we paid our last fourth quarter payment per contract. So they're still in business, but whatever.
This is put in as something excluded, meaning that we're saying, if it's being excluded, does that mean we had any rights to it? If we don't, I don't want, right? But it's just an open, and I'm asking the question because it's just an open. It just says cash, and I don't know what that means, right? Is it $5? Is it $10,000 or?
I don't know.
I asked the question, so
I do not have that. I do not have that information available to me. I will say this, that the existing services agreement required that anything that was acquired that was then in the department's possession or thereafter purchased to be held in trust and surrendered to the village. I think they had a fair reading of that. Would not necessarily also include cash or cash equivalences because they were not purchased per se. So as far as
yeah, I mean, they need to have money to finish it out. That's not my thing. It's just that
right, and again,
we're saying we're forgoing something, but I don't know what that is. So it's just a question.
I understand
that I can, tell a resident when they ask me, well, what's cash and cash equivalents mean?
I understand. So with respect to, again, the operations aspect, the resolution adopted by the board does call for the winding down of the affairs of the volunteer fire company as of the end of this year. It does not impact the corporate status under Chapter 181. And so they would still, both, they still have the ability to wind down or potentially change direction vis-a-vis the nonprofit corporation itself.
Great. Like I said, I just want to make sure also that there's enough money there for them for the next week or whatever to make sure that, they're not running on fumes.
Yeah, as I understood it from the meeting that the administrator, assistant administrator and I had with the chief and the board a while back, at that time at least, my understanding was that they believe they had enough money to make it through their responsibilities through the end of this, the current term.
And that would make sense because that's what the contract for 2025 called for. And we paid that, so. Okay, Kathy, did you have any questions or comments?
No, I have nothing further. I thank you to Paul for taking the labor more and summarizing it, given that it's very difficult for me to talk.
No problem. All right, with no other questions or comments, is there a motion? I will make a motion to approve the termination of contract between the Village of Butler and the Butler Volunteer Fire Department.
I'll second that motion.
I heard Eric. Paul and Eric made the motions. A motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All in opposition, say nay. Motion passes.
And I just wanted to make a quick comment before we adjourn that I wanted to express my sincere appreciation to Attorney Bono and Attorney Castor. Like too many Pauls. Attorney Alexi on their tireless work. I know it was a holiday weekend. I know that it was a big lift and just trying to get everything done. Even to a few minutes before we came in here. They've been very, very good to work with, and I greatly appreciate all their work. And then again, the fire department's quick consideration of everything that we were talking about, because she needed to go to her clients and they got back to her. So I appreciate the quick work on everybody's part to try to get this done. So
I agree with everything Ben said as well. And thank you very much, everyone, for your cooperation. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes at 6:24. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.